Hello and welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Chidi and I hope you are doing well. So in this video, I am going to show you how to make a satin lined headband with elastic. And these are the items we will need. Our fabrics, of course, I am using an African print cotton fabric and a satin fabric. You can also use silk or any soft textured fabric. I also have my ruler here, my tape measure, my elastic band, of course, a chalk for marking, and a pair of scissors for cutting. Okay, so the first thing we are going to do is to place the fabric on the table, like so. I am going to place it on fold just so that I cut out the two pieces that I need right away at the same time. So I am placing the fabric on fold and just making sure that I align them well so that I can cut the two pieces I need very well and at the same time. So the measurements we will need will be on the screen, but it will be 20 inches for the length and 8 inches for the width. You can adjust this to your preference, but I find that this gives you enough cover for your head and it just allows you kind of be able to play around with the style of the headband a bit more. But if you think it is too wide for you, you can definitely reduce the width to maybe 4 or 5 inches, but this is 8 inches here. So I am marking these measurements with my chalk, after which I will use my ruler to just create lines and then cut it out. So we have finished marking out the fabrics and marking our measurements on the fabric. So I am now cutting it out. I have placed my pattern weight on there, and if you would like to see the pattern weight tutorial, this is very simple to make. You will find it in the description box. I will possibly also link it on top as well if you would want to check it out later. But that is a tutorial that you will really like. It's very simple, very budget friendly. Okay, let's get back to the headband. So we have cut out two pieces of the cotton fabric, and the next thing we will cut out will be the satin fabric. Now for this one, I am not placing it on fold and I am not cutting out two at the same time. The reason being that this fabric is quite slippery, so I just wanted to make sure that I am cutting it out the right way. So I cut them out individually. So right now I am placing one of the cotton fabrics on the satin fabric, of course using my fabric weights to hold it down, and then I will go ahead to cut it out. So we have cut out these two fabrics, the cotton fabric and the satin fabric. So now I am placing them right sides facing each other because we are going to stitch left sides facing outwards. So I am using these office pins to stick hold it down. Now I am not using regular pins because I feel like they mark the satin fabrics, they create holes in it. So using these office clips rather just help to minimize the risk of that. And it's a fun hack as well. It's easier, I think. So you can try it as well. So I'm just using these office clips to hold it down. And after holding it down, just to make sure that the fabric doesn't move, because like I said earlier, the satin fabric is quite slippery. So we will hold it down and then take it to our sewing machine to sew it around. So here we are preparing the sewing machine for this project. Now I am using a mug to place my thread. This is another hack if you struggle with finding things to keep your large threads in. You can use a cup or a mug and that will just make it easier for you. So I am going ahead now to sew around the sides just by about half an inch, and I'll do that for both sides before turning it out. Okay, so the next thing we will do is to go ahead to iron these fabrics that we have cut out. So I am just ironing the fabric and then I will go ahead to to trim it out. Now I am using pinking shears to trim the sides, and this is important to reduce the bulk and also to make sure that the satin part of the fabric does not fray. So you can do this, or you can decide to use your regular scissors and then use a zigzag stitch, or use your serger or overlocker. But I figured a pinking shear would work well because it's just going to be hidden anyways. So I am just trimming off the excess and then I'll go ahead and turn it out. So the next thing I am going to do is to sew the piece of fabric for the elastic band. As usual, the measurements will be on the screen, but it is 10 inches in length and about 5 inches in width, but you can adjust this to your preference. Now we are going to just give all of these a good press. I'm using a steam iron to make sure that I am giving it a really good press. And so we are going to do that on all the pieces of the fabric, which are the two sides and then the piece for the elastic band. So after ironing these two fabrics, we are now going to create the turban effects. And we are going to do this by placing one piece of the fabric horizontally and then creating a fold. Okay, so we're just going to fold it and make sure that both ends meet each other. Okay, so after doing this, we are going to take the other piece of the fabric and place it inside. Now you have to make sure that you don't do what I did here at first. Make sure that you face the satin part to the other satin parts, like so in the video. Okay, so if you do that, you want to make sure that both parts are meeting each other, and then you will clip one end of the other piece. I am using a clip here. You can use a pin as well. And then you will just pull the other one taut, the other piece, pull it so taut, and then you will create the turban effect. Go ahead and also clip that other part or use pins as well. Then we will go ahead to sew this on our sewing machine. Now we will also need to use an office pin to place in the elastic band. Okay, before we stitch one end of the casing of the elastic band. Now you want to make sure that you have this office pin in, because it will be important and necessary, and it will help you turn it out when you are trying to sew the other end. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and stitch both of these pieces. So we are done stitching the edge of the turban and also both edges of the elastic casing. The next thing we will do now is to fold the edge of the turban in two. And then we are going to use a chalk to mark the center of that turban. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. And then what we'll do after that will be to attach the edge of the elastic casing at that center point, and then we will sew it down with our sewing machine. So we are just making that mark, and then we will attach that casing, sew it down. The next thing we will do after that will be to create the plates for the elastic casing, and you need to create these plates in a way that will make sure that you cover the elastic casing um, properly. So that's what I am doing here. Now I realized that this fabric was too thick to go through my sewing machine, so I had to use a needle and thread. Okay, so if you're using a thinner fabric like chiffon or polyester, it might not be a problem, but because this cotton fabric is really thick, and also the satin fabric was really thick, and then the layers were really thick because of the width of the turban, I ended up having to use my needle and thread. Okay, so it's absolutely fine. You will still get the same results. All you will just need to do is to sew it 3 or 4 times, just to make sure you're reinforcing that edge really well. Okay, so that's what we are going to do, and we're going to do that for both ends of the turban. We'll just sew it 2, 3, 4 times to make sure that we have reinforced it very well, and then we will just flip it over, and then we will be done with the project. That is really all there is to it for this project. It's very simple to make, and as you can see, it looks really good and it would fit any adult head size. Okay, so we will just turn it out and you will notice that you won't even see that elastic casing. It will be really enclosed in the turban, which is what we need. So that is it for this tutorial. I hope you have enjoyed watching, and I hope you are doing well. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe to the channel for more videos. Take care of yourselves and see you later.